This is Matthew Kratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to talk about Bitcoin decentralization, what it means, and why it matters. Why do we want decentralized money? Because we don't want money that has a single point of failure, and centralized money always has a single point of failure. We also don't want governments to be able to shut down our money or censor it. We don't want our money taken over or co-opted by a small group of people. We don't want our money changed by a small group of people, and we also don't want to have to ask permission from a small group of people to get access to our money. Just ask the Canadian truckers how this works. We don't want money whose supply can be increased by a small group of people, for example, like fiat money, like the US dollar, where normal people have to work very hard for money, whereas politicians and central bankers can just print up money and spend it. What does decentralization look like? It does not look like this. If I launch Crattercoin, for example, and put 2,000 nodes in every country on Earth, I'll have about 390,000 nodes in the Crattercoin network, whereas Bitcoin only has about 65,000 reachable nodes at the moment. So is Crattercoin, if we did this, would Crattercoin be more decentralized than Bitcoin because it has 390,000 nodes and Bitcoin only has 65,000 nodes? No, of course not, because having lots of nodes all around the world that are all controlled by the same person, namely me, is what's called decentralization theater. It's Dino, decentralized in name only. And if I want to change the code, I want to change the supply schedule, I want to change the consensus mechanism, it's quite easy for me to do this unilaterally because I control all the global nodes. Now, Bitcoin started off centralized in a similar way. It began as software on just one person's computer, on Satoshi's computer, and then it was software on a few people's computers, Satoshi and Hal Finney and others. And in those early days, Satoshi wrote code updates and everyone just downloaded and ran them. This was when Bitcoin could have still been shut down by the US government and other governments. Fortunately, they missed this window and Bitcoin was able to slowly and organically spread everywhere on Earth and experience this slow, spontaneous, natural monetization, which is really the complete opposite of centralized VC-funded coins that use corporate marketing to try to fake the same process. If you're finding this video helpful so far, I just ask you to help to support this channel's educational mission by hitting the subscribe button. That really does help. Leave a like, leave a comment, question, suggestion for a future video, and share this video with a friend or family member. Speaking of VC venture capitalist coins, Solana really is a perfect example of a VC coin funded by Silicon Valley venture capitalists, highly centralized with no possibility of organic growth among the plebs. And that's because, unlike running a Bitcoin node, no one can afford the cost or complexities of running a Solana node. Solana blockchain is currently 300 terabytes, not gigabytes, but terabytes, and growing by several terabytes per month. Solana node requirements: 12 core CPU, 128 or 256 gigs of RAM, and you need access internet speeds of 10 gigabits. If I'm reading this correctly, 10 gigabits per second is 10,000 megabits per second. Again, correct me if I'm making a mistake here. Typical home high-speed internet in the US is something like 200 megabits per second down and 300 megabits up. So really only corporate actors can afford to run a Solana node, not to mention this huge blockchain of 300 terabytes. Buying that sort of storage is very expensive. So you don't have plebs in the global south spinning up Solana nodes, unlike Bitcoin nodes. Digital Gravity here points out that Solana's blockchain is already 300 terabytes. And then For the People 4880 says Solana is actually quite decentralized. Solana has over 3,400 full nodes. Well, as I've just demonstrated, those are all corporate nodes. No one who's watching this runs a home Solana node. There are no Solana plebs that run nodes. Your crypto is also not very decentralized if it has a leader, it has a roadmap, it has a foundation. For example, here Walker pointing out if your crypto is a leader, it's not decentralized. Vitalik Buterin of Ethereum asserting that the person deciding the new Ethereum Foundation leadership is me. It's me. You are making my job harder. Similarly, we have a roadmap, many hard forks that have been done and are planned for Ethereum. So this is Ethereum's roadmap. This is Cardano's roadmap. If you have a roadmap, if you have a leader, a founder, a living active founder, your project is not decentralized because you have someone who's driving development, driving the roadmap, and who has a bully pulpit. So there are different forms of centralization problems. As we've already spoken about, you could have not enough nodes or lots of nodes run by the same economic entity. In the example of Cratercoin, for example, let's say we have another currency, maybe Cratercoin. If there are just 10 people, my friends and me, running nodes for this new cryptocurrency, why in the world would someone like you, an outsider, want to play this game as a miner or a hodler? Because my friends and I will probably do what's best for us. You're probably just going to end up the patsy at the poker table. By contrast, the Bitcoin network has thousands of nodes run by people all over the world who don't even necessarily know or like or trust each other. There are no insiders here. There's no inside game being played when it comes to Bitcoin. So if you set up your new cryptocurrency with your friends, there's no reason that I would want to come and mine with you or hodl the currency because I'm really an outsider and you guys are the insiders. Another possible form of centralization, owning too many coins. Here the consensus mechanism really matters though. Under proof of stake, owning more coins gives you more control over the protocol, over the money, over block production and what gets included in blocks, whereas with proof of work, owning more coins does not give you more control over the protocol. And fortunately, Bitcoin is proof of work. So if Michael Saylor has 10,000 Bitcoin and John Smith has just 1 Bitcoin, Saylor has no more control over the system, over the Bitcoin ecosystem than John. Saylor can go on TV and try to get John and other plebs to run different software on their nodes, but John and the plebs don't need to listen to him, and there's nothing that Saylor can do. Billionaires do not have an advantage in the Bitcoin network. Same goes for BlackRock, same goes for the US government. They do not have advantages here. The US government owns 200,000 Bitcoin and tells me to run different software on my node. I don't care and I won't do it. Owning lots of coins is really bad in a proof of stake network like Ethereum, and that's one reason that ETH began to really die after moving from proof of work to proof of stake in September of 2022. It's really gone straight down against Bitcoin ever since then, and today it's hitting new lows against Bitcoin. So in conclusion, how do we know that Bitcoin is decentralized? Of course, decentralization is a spectrum, but I would assert that Bitcoin is the most decentralized protocol out there for money. How do we know that Bitcoin is fairly decentralized? Because it's impossible to seize control of it. It's impossible to force through changes to the code that only you or a powerful person wants. Bitcoin consensus changes are always extremely messy and contentious and rare because there's no small insider cabal that controls it. By contrast, if your crypto project has an active living founder like Vitalik or Charles Hoskinson, if it has a roadmap, a headquarters, if it does lots of smooth, uncontentious, coordinated hard forks like ETH and Cardano are always doing, probably not very decentralized. The thing about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is now bigger than famous people, it's bigger than politicians, it's bigger than even nation states. And unlike any other cryptocurrency, Bitcoin has achieved liftoff. It's a unique digital commodity controlled by no one. And this is important because the base layer of global money should not be controlled by anyone. It should not be easy to change. It should be secure, dependable, and change as little as possible. For what reason? For this reason, so that people can make long-term economic decisions and not worry about the monetary foundation being altered by some small group of insiders, like happened with Ethereum when it moved from proof of work to proof of stake. So Bitcoin has already won the money game. As the saying is, I think it was William Gibson, the future is already here. It's still just unevenly distributed. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.